There was this one time I joined a queue outside a government office at a place here known as Nyayo without knowing what the queue was about. But I saw over 30 people lining up, so I figured this must be something worth waiting for, right? I mean, 30 people don't just stand around for nothing. So we stood there for about over 20 minutes before I asked the guy in front of me what we were actually queuing for. I mean, he didn't know either. He didn't join because he saw people. He he had joined because he saw people queuing. He didn't know what was happening. And neither of us knew what we were waiting for. What we knew is that other people were waiting, and that felt like it was enough at the moment for a reason for us to queue. I mean, I laughed about it after, but it stuck with me longer than it should have. And that's why I'm making this video today. Because once you notice that pattern, once you start seeing it everywhere, you might see the queue outside the SIM card replacement office for Safaricom, or the rush toward whatever WhatsApp forward is spreading that week, or what's the next big hustle. People tend to think that kind of way. Like how people think right now that the next big hustle is what? Handshake AI, training AI models, AI and everything that is coming to take us. But nobody's individually deciding this thing is worth their time. Everybody's just watching everybody else decide and calling that a decision. Like the other day I was on social media, I saw people like every post on Instagram was about if if you're not building AI agents, you're getting left behind. If you're not doing this, you're left behind. If you're not doing the anthropic courses, you're being left behind. If you're not looking at what NVIDIA is doing next and it's giving everything for free, you're being left behind. Like nobody ever thinks independently. Something comes from another person. And there's a reason for this. It's not it's not that we are lazy thinkers actually. I think that I think that trusting the crowd used to be a genuinely good strategy. If everyone in your group started running the smart moves, if somebody was running the smart moves in your group, and the smart move was, what am I even saying? I think I got lost a bit there because there's a car here. But what I'm trying to say is, if everyone in your group started running, okay, the smart move was to run first and ask question later, right? The ones who stopped to independently verify the danger before reacting usually didn't survive long enough to pass that trait on, right? So here we are. We are here generations later, still built to trust the crowd's movement over our own slow, careful analysis. Even when the actual stakes are just a queue outside an office or a predator in the grass. I mean, here's what I've had to admit to myself, and it's not comfortable at all. I like to think of myself as someone who thinks independently. Almost everyone does. That's actually the part of the trap nobody sits around thinking about. You know, I mean, someone might go and say, "I'm definitely just following the herd right now," or you say, It's always felt like your own conclusion, but you forget you're following the herd, and you think you arrived to that conclusion freely. Even when you seem you cannot even trace it straight back to something like you think, well, everyone else seem to think about it the same way you are thinking. If you don't find that kind of proof, you tend to think that the conclusion was your own and the thinking was your own. And I catch doing it myself constantly. I mean, adopting an opinion because it's I adopt opinions because it's the one circulating, not because I actually worked through it myself. Repeating a take I had, you know, secondhand with the same confidence as if I'd built it from scratch. The hard thing doesn't announce itself, guys. It's just quiet. It just quietly writes the conclusion and lets you believe you got there alone. And I go back and forth on whether independent even thinking is even fully possible at times, or if it's more of a direction you move towards rather than a place you actually arrive at. Some days I think I genuinely worked something out of for myself, only to realize later I was just repeating stunts I picked up somewhere and forgot. I forgot even where the source of this stunt I picked up was from. You know, other days I even catch the hard instinct in real time, mid thought, and manage to actually stop and ask the question nobody else in the queue bothered to ask. But the second thing happens rarely actually. Most of the time it happens rarely. I won't pretend it's my default setting, bro. It takes actual effort every single time. Maximum effort, bro. Which is exactly why most people, most of the time include me, just don't even bother. Like if you can see the other quotes, like there was a quote in the internet 6 7. Bro, even I don't even know it's from, but I kept saying it. The Sheng in our country, everything. But anyway, so yeah, I still don't know what's the queue outside the government. I don't know what the queue outside the government offices was about, even up to date, because I left before finding out. Once I realized nobody around me even knew about what it was about. Okay, so anyway, thank you guys. But remember, before you come into conclusion with anything, sit with your thoughts first and try to figure out why you want the thing. It's not what you want, as I usually say, it's why you want it. Thank you guys for watching.